time for us to imagine and to light the way forward using our intuition, our heart knowledge, and our insight. I want to begin with a verse from the Mahanarayana Upanishad. The form of that one is not to be seen. The form of that one is not to be seen. No one sees it with the eyes. Only one who has opened the heart, the thoughts, and the mind may see it. Only one who has opened the heart, the thoughts, and the mind may see it. I'm so grateful to be with you today, to be back with you. I've been gone for a little while, and I'm grateful to be back in our temple of the eternal way. It's a wonderful step. It's a new day. It's a new season. It's a new beginning. And of course, we have a new satsang series. And, as we continue now to take steps to respond to the changes and the challenges we are experiencing with the global pandemic, there are many questions that arise, like where do we go from here? How do we enter back into life as we once knew it? Can we? What should it be like? How do we respond to this moment consciously and creatively? How do we begin anew with an open heart and an open mind? So in this series, starting today, I want to highlight one of the most essential tools that we have right away at our disposal to help us move forward with inspiration and with divine support. And that tool is our imagination. I've been listening carefully, to life and to events and to people and to circumstances over this past year and a half. And one of the refrains that I have heard many times is not a new refrain. And it's this, it's that, it's not that we do not have or cannot source what we need to meet the challenges that we face. It's not that we don't have the resources that we need or that we can't source them to meet the challenges that we face, wherever they are, whatever they are. It's that we too often suffer from what is called a failure of imagination. And so I say, let's not do that now. Let's not, in our personal lives, in our community life, in our global life together, let's not suffer from failure of imagination, but let us open our hearts and our minds and learn to creatively open to the highest possibility that can be. The ability that we have to use our imagination, to see and know beyond what we have known before, what the senses can perceive, is a doorway for us to the infinite. It is a portal that allows us to experience the vastness that is beyond time and space, that is beyond form, that is beyond the known. And so we can, and really I say we must, make use of this tool now to creatively use our imagination to bring forth new possibilities in our lives and in our world. So today, this first message in the series is let your mind sink into your heart. And what I mean by letting the mind sink into the heart is really to let go of clinging to our thoughts. You know, when we're making a change, it's so common, isn't it, to get caught up in worry and planning and doing, to just jump right in and be operating, you know, just from here. But I want to invite us to operate from here, you know, from a deeper place. Some people call it the heart mind, this awareness of our essential self, and beyond that, an awareness of the power and presence that's already at work in our lives, and that, you know, we can begin to discern that and to cooperate with it instead of, you know, heading out. Heading out. That's a good phrase. What to avoid? Heading out. So, letting the mind sink into the heart is allowing our attention and awareness to be anchored in the soul and to relax, to witness thoughts as they arise and they can pass away, and remember our essence. Paramahansa Yogananda said, think of God all the time. And of course, that's really good advice. But then, you know, how do we think of that which is beyond thought? How do we do that? Well, you know, because God is omnipresent, God is the ultimate subject. God can never be an object of our perception, nor can God be contained in a thought. So we can think about God, but I want to point out that in order to even think of that which cannot be perceived sensually, we have to use our imagination. And that's a very positive function of our imagination, to imagine omnipresence. It's a wonderful thing. And very often, you know, we equate imagination with fantasy. You know, or we think of it as something negative or lightweight, you know. Oh, that's just your imagination. But there's a positive side to imagination, which is using that skill that we have to imagine greater possibilities, imagine omnipresence. Imagine that which you cannot confine to form or put into words. Imagine that. Open the mind, let it sink into the heart. Get beyond what we've known and the constrictions of the past. So we don't keep just repeating the past, but we open to something new. Now I want to say that imagining God is not realization of God. So we don't want to confuse that. I'm not saying you can just, you know, dream that up and poof, you're enlightened. But I am saying that we can use our imagination as a portal, as a way to begin to expand our consciousness so that we then can experience directly, beyond thought, beyond imagination, that reality of God's omnipresence. So imagination is a doorway. And in the same way, as we begin to open ourselves to imagine new possibilities, our imagination provides that opening. It provides that doorway for then this divine power and presence to begin to show itself to us so we can cooperate with it. So on Tuesday, you know, I arrived here back at the center for the first time in, you know, I think over a year and a half. And it made my heart soar. It just made my heart soar to be home and to experience the radiant beauty and peace of this place. You know, it's spring, the garden is fragrant, it's in bloom, the green of prana is speaking God's name everywhere as you walk through the garden. And I felt so much gratitude for our staff and our residents here who have tended the garden and kept the prana alive in this place. So it is here, and as soon as we can welcome you back here, we will. And once I arrived, it took me some time really to take it all in and to feel it deeply by letting my mind sink into my heart. How will we, what next? No, just be, and see what can come. And I had a very full first day. I was still online with meetings. I met with staff and did some planning things. So by the end of the day, when it was after supper time, and I got to my upstairs room, which is a combination of my office and my apartment when I'm here in residence. And as I sat there, I was so surprised to discover that I was feeling contracted. I was feeling oppressed. I was feeling overwhelmed. And I looked around my space and I thought, there's too much in here. There's too much furniture. There's too much stuff. And God forbid, there's even too many books. And so this was like 8 o'clock at night. I call in Reverend Sundari, and she's so willing. I say, we have to clear this place out. So she starts helping me move furniture out of my room, move books, move old boxes of things. And we began to open up this space, and it was so delightful. But about after an hour or so of that, I would say, and then we could do this, we could move that. And Reverend Sundari would say to me, that's a very good idea, but probably we won't do that tonight. And, part of that was because, of course, I was on a roll, and we were going to get up at 5 a.m. To get ready for meditation. So she was very wise. But it did remind me of the time that I had been traveling for many months, and this was some years ago, and I came back here to the center and came in the temple, and when I walked into the temple, I had that same kind of feeling. And I stood in the temple and I said, oh no, that's a brick wall. That's because it was. So, back here, the back wall of the dais was a brick wall. And I said, oh no, we need more light in here. And, when we came to this place and when we were able to purchase this property and occupy it, we loved the brick wall. We loved the brick wall because we had been, wandering in the desert of Silicon Valley. We had been moving from place to place, renting a place to give our meetings and our satsangs. So when we came here and there was this temple with the brick wall, we said, what could be more solid and feel more permanent than a brick wall? We loved it. But then there came a time when we needed to let in the light. We needed more light, more opening, more possibility. And so, then began the temple renovation. But, I tell you these stories because I want to ask the question, is it time in your life to let in a little more light? To open to the possibility of how the light and power of God wants to move through you to bring forth positive change in your life and in our world. So before trying to figure everything out, before rushing headlong or searching for what is being called the new normal, how about taking some time to open to higher possibility? Can we allow ourselves to consider, to open to receive divine inspiration, something greater, something more soul satisfying, something more life enhancing than how it was, or even how we think it will be? Many of you are familiar with my Guru Roy Eugene Davis offering this phrase, there's a power for good that runs the universe and we can learn to cooperate with it. And later he revised it to, there's an enlivening power that runs this universe and we can learn to cooperate with it. He was referring to what in Vedic teachings is called Rita, RTA or RITA in transliteration, Rita. And Rita means truth or order, and it is the root meaning of that Sanskrit word is to rise, to tend upward, to rise, to tend upward. It is the flowering of cosmic order, of the highest potential. And Grimes, in his Sanskrit dictionary, says, it is the working out of truth in action. It is the working out of truth in action. It is the eternal order, cosmic as well as moral. So what would the working out of truth in action be in our lives? What would the working out of truth in action be in our workplaces? What would the working out of truth and action be in our world? It's wonderful to contemplate this. There's a natural harmony, a divine order, a divine plan, a divine purpose that is already in place, that is right now rising, that is right now moving forth. And its tendency is to bring forth healing and to unfold divine potential. So this first step of using our imagination is to make space for it. To make space for it. So, to open our hearts and our minds, we get quiet. We sit, we meditate, we get quiet. We open to the experience of the unbounded, infinite reality of God. And now after that, sit. Sit for a while longer. And open yourself, become receptive to knowing that you exist in that reality. In that omnipresent reality of God, and that whatever you need is already at hand. So the guidance we need for our next steps is already present. The dream for the possibility for us to inhabit is already being dreamed by the great dreamer. And so it's not that we have to sit and imagine and think up something. We have to get quiet enough to open to the possibility that's already there. See, it's a little shift. Well, really, it's a big shift. From, ego to the infinite possibility. So know that this Rita, this divine order, is already at hand. And as you let your mind sink into your heart, you begin to become receptive to it. And then you begin to open yourself to, what is the possibility that I can see for my life? And begin to let yourself feel that, know that, and be grateful for it so that you can cooperate with the next steps that arise. I'm going to close with a part of a poem from Rilke. I am the dream you are dreaming. I am the dream you are dreaming. When you want to awaken, I am that wanting. When you want to awaken, I am that wanting. I grow strong in the beauty you behold. And with the silence of stars, I enfold your cities made by time. I am the dream you are dreaming.